Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's episode of The Mortal Affair. Tonight, we finally reach the end of the tale of the knight with two swords, Sir Balin. So, to give you all a recap of where we are with the story, getting to here. Sir Balin, the most noble knight in all the lands, has found himself in a bit of hot bother. A lady came to the court of King Arthur with a cursed sword stuck around her waist. She said that only the most noble knight in all the realm could remove that sword. King Arthur tried and failed. The Knights of the Round Table tried and failed, but it was a knight who'd been taken prisoner in one of King Arthur's campaigns and was lodged at Camelot. Balin, who asked if he might be given the opportunity to remove that sword. So Balin went to remove the sword, succeeded, and in doing so, Arthur saw him as a truly great knight and announced that he would forgive Balin all previous misgivings. And Merlin revealed that the woman who'd brought this sword had in fact brought a cursed sword, for she had not revealed the fact that the man who removed this sword would cause his own destruction and the death of the person that he held most dear. Since then, ladies and gentlemen, we have followed Sir Balin on his quests across England, where he's always been desperate to fight off against this curse. He's not wanted to give in to Merlin's prophecy, has insisted that he will not cause the death of the man who he held most dear. But yet, death has followed Balin wherever he's gone. Tragedy in his wake in every last moment, to the point where Balin has caused the destruction of a kingdom. And now, going off through this destroyed, ruined kingdom, weary, heavy from battle and war, he has come to a castle where he has been asked by the knights there to go and fight against a knight who's standing guard over a castle filled with women. Balin has been so tired, he hasn't even really bothered to go and try and find the details of why he's been asked to do this. He's just succumbed. He said, yes, after all, for the old warhorse, what's one more fight? What is one more fight, ladies and gents? He's agreed, but before leaving, his shield that's had his emblem on it has been swapped for a better shield given to him as a gift by one of the knights there in the castle. So that now, Balin, for whom prophecy weighs heavy upon his head, has ridden out to this island and the castle upon it. And even if the person there knew him by his sigil, they would not recognise him now. Poor Balin. Ladies and gents, it's been one hell of a ride getting here so far. Let's get into tonight's final episode of the tale of Balin, the knight with the two swords, as he goes off to face battle one last time. And this one last time, no one shall recognise it for him. It was then, as Balin reached the island, that he saw coming out before him a knight clad in red, with his horse all dressed in red. And that knight was his brother, Balin, though he did not recognise him. And when Balin, dressed in red, beheld Balin, he thought he recognised it as his brother because of the two swords that he carried. But he did not recognise the emblem on the shield, and so he decided it was not he. And so the two brothers, not knowing each other, readied their spears, spurred their horses, and came together marvellously fast together. So they smote each other in the shields, but their spears and their course was so big that it bore both horses down, with both men alongside them, so that both lay on the ground in a swoon. And the Balin was bruised sore, and weary of travel, and weary of war. And Balin, his brother, was the first that rose on foot, and drew his sword, and went towards Balin. And Balin arose and went against him, and Balin smote Balin first, and he put up his shield to hold him against that unhappy sword that well nigh felled his brother Balin. And they fought there together endlessly, swords clashing until their breaths failed. Then did Balin look up to the castle, and he saw that the towers stood full of ladies. And taking strength, he turned and went to the battle again, and each brother wounded each other dolefully. And oftentimes, as they went to that battle, all the place about them was red with blood. And at the same time, there was none but both that either had smitten against each other and given great wounds, so that the least of them might have been the death of a mightiest giant in this world. But for Balin and Balin, even suffering those wounds, they fought on, and then they went to battle again so marvellously that doubt it was the hero of that battle, for the great blood shedding, and their hauberks became nailed, and they were left naked on every side. And at last Balin, the younger brother, withdrew himself and laid down. Then said Balin le Savage, "What knight are you? For before now I had never known a knight who could match me in battle." "My name," said he, "is Balin, brother to the good knight Balin." "Alas," said Balin, "that ever I should see this day." And therewith he fell backwards in a swoon. And then Balin rode up on all 4 feet in his hands, and he put off the helm of his brother. But even then he did not know him by his face, for it was so badly hewn from battle and bloody. But when Balin awoke, he said, "O Balin, my brother, you have slain me, and I thee. Wherefore all the wide world now shall speak of us both." "Alas," said Balin, "that ever I saw this day, that through mishap I might not know you. For I saw well your 2 swords, but you had another shield. I thought you were another knight." "Alas," said Balin, "all that was done to me by an unhappy knight in another castle. For he advised me to leave my own shield, and has caused our each destruction. And if I had lived now, then I would destroy that castle for its ill customs." "You would be right to do so," said Balin. "For I left from that castle too, and I came here to face off against the knight keeping this castle, and I slew him. And since then I've been forced to take his place, never able to depart. And had you slain me as they asked, you would not be able to depart either, brother, for there is a curse upon this land." And right so there came the Lady of the Tower, with 4 knights and 6 ladies, and 6 yeomen with them. And there she heard how they made their moan to each other, and they said to her, "We came both of one tomb, that is to say, one mother's belly, and so shall we lie both in a single grave. And so did Balin pray the Lady of her gentleness for his true service, that she would bury them both in that same place where the battle was done. And she agreed, weeping that it should be done in the best manner. Now, will you send for a priest, that we may receive our sacrament and receive the blessed body of our Lord Jesus Christ? Yes, said the lady, it shall be done. And so she sent for a priest, and she gave the men their rights. Now, said Balin, when we are buried in one tomb, and the mention is made over us to how two brethren slay each other, there will never be a good knight nor good man who will see our tomb, but that will pray for our souls. And so all the ladies and gentlewomen wept for pity. And then Balin died. But Balin didn't die until the next night, and so they were buried both, and the lady let make a mention of Balin, of how he was slain there by his brother's hands. But she did not know Balin's name to write it. It was in the morning, when Merlin came and wrote Balin's name on the tomb with letters of gold that said, "Here lies Balin le Sauvage, that was the knight with the two swords, and he that smote the dolorous stroke. And also, there Merlin let make a bed, that there should never a man lie in unless he needed it." And so would Sir Lancelot the Lake find that bed one day. And after Balin was dead, Merlin took his sword, took off the pommel, and set on another pommel. Then did Merlin bade a knight that stood before him to handle that sword. But the knight said no, he could not handle it. And Merlin laughed. "Why do you laugh?" said the knight. "This is the cause," said Merlin. "There shall never be a man to handle this sword, unless he is the best knight of the world, and that man shall be Sir Lancelot, or otherwise Galahad his son. And Lancelot, with this sword, shall slay the man that in the world he loved best, and that shall be Sir Gawain." All this he let write in the pommel of the sword. Then did Merlin make a bridge of iron and steel to the island. It was but 1/2 foot broad, and there could never a man pass on the bridge, or have the hardiness to go over it, unless he was a good man and a good knight, without treachery or villainy. And the scabbard of Balin's sword, Merlin left it on the side of the island, so that Galahad should find it. And Merlin also let make by his trickery and magics, that Balin's sword should be put in a marble stone that could stand upright, as great as a millstone. And the stone was always weighted above the water, and it stayed above the water for many years, until by magics did it swim down the stream to the city of Camelot in English Winchester. And that same day Galahad the haughty prince came with King Arthur, and so Galahad brought with him the scabbard, and achieved the sword that was there in the marble stone resting above the water. And on Whitsunday he achieved the sword, as we will tell in the Book of the Holy Grail. And soon after this was done, Merlin did come to King Arthur and tell him of the dolorous stroke that Balin gave to King Pellam, and how Balin and Balin were buried together in a single tomb. Alas, said King Arthur, this is the greatest pity that ever I heard tell of two knights in the world, for I know these knights. And thus endeth the tale of Balin and of Balin, two brethren born in Northumberland, both good knights. And there, ladies and gents, we have the end of the tale of Balin and Balin. But don't forget to join us next time as we tell once more the tale of King Arthur and his marriage to Guinevere and the adventures around the round table that will follow. See you then.